This is going to be a pretty boring video for people who aren't interested in the minutia of the way Gamepad support works with Windows APIs. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about what I'm struggling with and just the different trade-offs I have to consider making. So here's the thing. This version of Final Fight is a 10-player game. The dominant gamepads for the PC right now are Xbox gamepads. The API for Xbox gamepads has a 4 gamepad limit. So the options are basically just say whatever, man. Use keyboard encoders. Use keyboards. Keyboard inputs for your controls. Play the game like that, and you could probably get away with it like that. That's fine. But I really wanted to support Xbox Gamepad, so I went through the horrible bother of implementing joysticks in raw input, and this really fucking sucks because essentially you're almost like basically doing what the gamepad's driver is supposed to do. And so I just want to talk about just some of the issues that come up and dealing with this stuff. So basically, at a really low level, all of these things are just USB human interface devices. When you see like HID or whatever, that's what all these things are. And there are basically different types of human interface devices, the different categories, that raw input, for example, breaks them up into is you have mice, you have keyboards, and then you just have like some generic thing that all HID devices that don't fit in a mouse or a keyboard go into, and that's going to be gamepads, microphones with buttons on them, remote controls, just any weird USB devices that you might plug into a computer. Okay, but basically, here's the deal. To support gamepads using raw input, it's a big pain in the ass because you're like halfway in between supporting a gamepad and implementing a driver for a gamepad. It's a big fucking nuisance, and I'll just kind of go into a little what's going on. So basically, with raw input, you can get the usage information about a device, and it basically tells you, okay, this gamepad has 10 buttons, and these are the different things that it can do, and so do whatever you want to do with that. But what really makes it shitty and awful is that different companies, implemented things different ways. And so here's just an example. Like I have a Logitech Rumble Pad, just gamepad. You've probably seen those things. And I have like a bunch of Xbox gamepads. And look at the difference. Logitech starts with a 0 index. So if I push up on a Logitech Rumble Pad, up, the value of it is 0. And the value of, when I hold, both, diagonal, upright, directional pad, the value of that is 1. And so it just, goes in a clockwise circle, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if I let go of all of the directional pad entirely, its value is 8. However, Xbox pads don't start with a 0 index. They start with 1. And so they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when you let go of an Xbox directional pad, what you get is 0. And so you can just see how it's just all a bunch of arbitrary bullshit. So basically, this is kind of what I'm struggling with. Like, I don't know, what the best way to go about doing this is because, I want to support, basically, because here's the thing. If I just used X input like everybody else on the planet, I could say, fine, you can use your 4 Xbox gamepads and it's really easy for me and I'll be done in 5 minutes. Well, that's fine. But, like I said, it's a 10-player game, and the dream is that you could actually have 10 Xbox gamepads connected to your computer, and you could just straight up control the characters, with all of those. So I have to make some kind of trade-off somewhere. Like, I mean, we're talking about going back to like the DOS era, where I might have to do something really shitty, like when you, remap the controls in Final Fight. I might have to say, hey, calibrate your gamepad. Push up, push down, push right, let go. And then when the player does that, I actually figure out, oh, okay, when I told you to push up, the value that I got was 0, so I know that you're a 0 index gamepad. I mean, like I said, we're talking about going back into the dark ages DOS era, because I mean, because otherwise, if I don't do something like that, then we're thinking about like, what do I need, like a fucking database of gamepads? I need to say like, oh, okay, I got some device and vendor ID from the input that you put in here, and I'll look it up against a database, and I'll say, oh, okay, it's a Logitech RumblePad, so I know it's 0. Or, oh, okay, it's an Xbox gamepad, I know it's 1, and I'm going to do this. I mean, like I said, I just don't know how hard to take this. I mean, it's really, really tempting for me just to say, fuck you all, use a goddamn keyboard encoder like a man, because basically they're better than these shitty gamepads anyway. But I'm just saying, like, I know in the real world, like when it boils down to it, most people are probably going to have some kind of like Xbox gamepad. So I don't know. I'm just so in any case, I just made this video to talk about like the issues there, and to see if you guys had any thoughts, or opinions, about how you would prefer it to be handled. Because I mean, there are different things I can do. I mean, but like I said, right now though, tentatively, I'm thinking about just having something where you could say like, for player 1, use gamepad, profile A, B, or C or something, and I can maybe just like have like the common gamepad profiles, because I don't know how many variations there really are. I mean, like I'd have to like try more gamepads to really see, but I mean it's possible that these 2 variations that I just talked about here are it, and if that's it, it's not that terrible. Like we're in the options, you could just say, okay, I have an Xbox gamepad, or I don't have an Xbox gamepad. I mean, it might be, because this wouldn't surprise me at all. It might be that Microsoft is fucking weird, and everybody else on the planet is like Logitech, or it could, it could be vice versa. I mean, whatever it is, but like I'm saying though, it's frustrating because I don't want to get hung up on this too much, because it is just kind of like a minor part of the game. I mean, and like really, like I said, anybody who's actually hardcore, anybody who's serious about this, they're probably going to have some kind of like arcade, joystick setup with a keyboard encoder, and they're just going to be using like a keyboard and not even using a gamepad anyway, which makes it kind of a non-issue. But in any case, that's just kind of a little, dive into, the shittiness of supporting gamepads in 2017. I mean, like I said, the other option too is I don't want to do this. I mean, actually, what, I was going to say it's an option, but it isn't. I was going to say I could just use direct input, and direct input doesn't have the 4 gamepad limitation. However, I know direct input has more input lag than raw inputs, so fuck that. And the other thing too is like, I do like the purity of what I have right now, because there's something, from a programming perspective that's really elegant about using one API for all of your inputs. Like, it's really beautiful. Like, I like that right now, where I'm saying everything is raw input. There's no variation. It's like, it's not X input here and raw input there and direct input here and whatever else here. It's just all raw input, which is really fucking awesome. I like that. But yeah, this does suck though.